Nnamdi sells the cheapest shoes in the market, but no one knows his secret. When tragedy strikes, the shocking truth is revealed. Watch till the end. The bustling market of Nkwo was always filled with traders shouting over one another, each trying to lure customers to their stalls. Among them was Nnamdi, a humble-looking man with a small wooden stand filled with shoes, cheap, yet oddly attractive. His prices were the lowest in the market, and anyone who bought from him often marveled at how durable and comfortable his shoes were, despite the cost. People came from different villages to buy from Nnamdi. Traders from neighboring towns carried his shoes in bulk, reselling them at higher prices. He was always polite, always smiling, and never seemed to run out of stock. Those who envied his success often whispered among themselves, questioning how he managed to sell so cheaply and still remain in business. What they didn't know was that Nnamdi's success was not ordinary. Deep in the heart of his village, beyond the thick bushes and winding footpaths, stood an old shrine where few dared to go. It was the dwelling place of Ogwudile, the spirit of silent ruin. Nnamdi had been introduced to the deity by his uncle many years ago, after suffering great hardship. He had lost his job in the city, his wife had left him, and hunger had nearly swallowed him whole. Desperate, he had followed his uncle's advice and sought the help of the spirit. The priest of Ogwudile had given him a simple instruction: give, and you shall take. The more you spread, the more you reap. At first, Nnamdi had been confused. But the priest explained further. He would sell shoes that carried the mark of Ogwudile. Whoever wore them would unknowingly surrender a part of their destiny. Their progress, their good fortune, their strength, all would drain away slowly, flowing back to Nnamdi like a river returning to the ocean. The affected ones would not die, they would simply struggle endlessly, never understanding why life had turned against them. Armed with this knowledge, Nnamdi began his trade. He crafted his shoes carefully, performing the necessary rituals on each pair before placing them on his stall. And the people came. They came in numbers. Businessmen, traders, students, even politicians. All eager for a bargain. Within a year, Nnamdi's life transformed. He moved into a new house, bought lands, and sent his younger brothers abroad. Yet, in the same market where he thrived, some of his frequent customers found their lives falling apart. Chidi, a once successful trader, could no longer sell even a single tuber of yam. Adiz, who had recently started her clothing business, found herself drowning in debt. Even the young apprentice, Emeka, who had dreamed of opening his own shop, suddenly lost interest in life. Rumors began to spread. Some whispered that the market was cursed, that unseen forces were working against them. But nobody suspected Nnamdi. He was just a simple shoe seller, after all. A kind man. A generous man. Always smiling. One evening, as Nnamdi was closing his shop, an old woman approached him. She was bent with age, her wrapper tattered, her eyes sharp like a hawk's. Nnamdi, she called softly. He turned, surprised. Mama, do you want shoes? The woman chuckled, shaking her head. I have no need for shoes. My feet have carried me through life without them. But you, my son, your own feet are walking a dangerous path. A cold shiver ran down Nnamdi's spine. Mama, I don't understand what you mean. You will, she said, turning to leave. Soon, you will. Nnamdi watched her disappear into the crowd, his heart pounding. He had seen many things, done many things, but this old woman unsettled him. He did not know that the time of reckoning was drawing near. And so, as the sun set over Nkwo, Nnamdi stood by his stall, gripping the edges of his wooden counter, the smile on his face faltering for the first time in years. That night, Nnamdi tossed and turned in his bed, the old woman's words ringing in his ears. He was not a man easily shaken, but something about her voice, the certainty in it, unsettled him. At midnight, he rose and lit a candle. He needed answers. Walking to the corner of his room, he pulled up a loose wooden plank from the floor and retrieved a small black calabash wrapped in red cloth. Inside it was the charm given to him by the priest of Ogwudile, the heart of his power. He whispered an incantation, and a faint wind blew through the room despite the windows being shut. Ogwudile, Great One, protector of my wealth, reveal to me the meaning of this warning. The candle flickered violently, and a thick mist rose from the calabash, swirling into the shape of a hunched figure with hollow eyes. Nnamdi bowed his head slightly. The old woman, he continued, who is she? The spirit's voice was like dry leaves rustling in the wind. She is not of this world. Nnamdi's heartbeat quickened. What does she want? The time of balance approaches, the spirit murmured. You have taken much, and the scales will soon tip against you. Nnamdi frowned. But I have served you well. I have done all you asked. You have fed, but a hungry mouth comes to claim what was stolen. The mist dissipated abruptly, and the candle went out, leaving the room in thick darkness. Nnamdi sat still for a long time. He had always known that power came at a cost, but he had never feared the consequences. Until now. The following morning, he went to his shop as usual, but something felt different. The air was heavy, the market unusually quiet. He set up his shoes, watching as customers passed by. Some glanced at his wares but did not stop. Others who usually bought from him walked past without even looking. By noon, he had not made a single sale. Then he saw her. The old woman stood at the far end of the market, watching him. This time, she was not alone. A young boy stood beside her, no more than 12, his face calm but his eyes holding an unsettling depth. Nnamdi's palms grew sweaty. He had dealt with many kinds of people in his business, but this was something else. He wanted to leave, to close his shop and disappear, but his legs felt heavy, rooted to the ground. Slowly, the old woman and the boy walked toward him. The market, which had been noisy moments ago, became eerily silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. When they reached his stall, the old woman spoke first. Nnamdi, you have taken from many. Their labor, their dreams, their futures. But did you think you could take without ever giving back? Nnamdi swallowed hard. I don't know what you mean. The boy stepped forward, his eyes locking onto Nnamdi's. The moment their gazes met, Nnamdi felt something inside him shift, like a thread unraveling. You will know, the boy said simply. His voice was calm, but it held a force that made Nnamdi's head throb. And when you do, you will beg for what you once had. Without another word, the boy turned and walked away, the old woman following behind him. The moment they disappeared from sight, Nnamdi felt a sudden weakness in his body. His vision blurred, his legs buckled, and he collapsed onto the ground. Around him, the market resumed its normal activity, but nobody came to help. It was as if he had become invisible. Lying there, his mind spun with questions, with fear. Who was the boy? What had he done to him? Then, deep inside, he felt something he had never felt before. Emptiness. A gaping hole where his power used to be. Nnamdi struggled to his feet, his body trembling. He felt lightheaded, disconnected, like a stranger in his own skin. Something had changed, something vital had been stripped from him. He looked around the market, expecting at least one of his usual customers to notice him, to ask if he was all right. But no one did. For the first time in years, he felt ordinary. Fear crept into his chest as he hurriedly packed up his shoes and left the market. He needed answers. He needed to see the priest of Aguadile. The journey to the shrine was one he had taken many times before, but today, it felt longer. The forest seemed darker, the trees whispering as though they knew something he didn't. When he finally arrived, he found the old priest sitting cross-legged before a fire, his face unreadable. You have come, the priest said without looking up. Nnamdi knelt before him. Great one, something is wrong. My power, it is gone. The priest sighed, tossing a handful of white powder into the flames. A thick, black smoke rose, twisting into strange shapes. You have been marked, the priest said. Marked? By who? Nnamdi's voice was laced with desperation. The boy. The priest's eyes finally met his, and Nnamdi saw something he had never seen before, fear. He is not an ordinary child. Then who is he? The priest's gaze darkened. He is one whose destiny you could not steal. One whose spirit was too strong to be taken. And now, he has taken something from you. Nnamdi's stomach tightened. What did he take? The priest threw more powder into the fire, and for a brief moment, Nnamdi saw his own reflection in the flames. But it was not him as he was, it was him as he used to be, poor, hopeless, defeated. Realization dawned on him like a slap to the face. My fortune. He whispered. He took everything back. The priest nodded. Every life you drained, every destiny you stole, it has been undone. Those who suffered because of you will begin to rise again. And you. His voice grew heavy, final. You will return to the men you were before. No. Nnamdi shook his head violently. There must be something we can do. Another ritual, another sacrifice. The priest's expression remained grim. There is nothing left to sacrifice. The power is gone. Nnamdi clutched his head, panic setting in. He thought of his lands, his wealth, his influence, all slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. He staggered backward, breath quickening. No. No, this can't be happening. The priest merely watched him. The spirits have taken what was stolen. You must leave. Nnamdi turned and ran. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to get away. But as he ran, the truth became clear: no matter how far he went, there was no escaping what had been done. His time of taking was over. Now, it was his turn to lose. Nnamdi ran blindly through the forest, branches clawing at his clothes as he stumbled over roots and stones. His breath came in ragged gasps, his mind racing. How could this be happening? For years, he had lived in abundance. He had power, influence, and wealth. But now, it was all slipping away, and he could feel it, like water draining through cupped hands. When he finally emerged from the forest, he found himself standing on the outskirts of his village. His once grand compound stood in the distance, but something was wrong. The walls that had been freshly painted were now cracked and dull. The air around the house felt different, less imposing, less alive. As he stepped through the gates, his heart pounded. The servants who once ran to greet him were nowhere to be seen. The compound was eerily silent. Then, he heard voices. At the far end of the yard, his younger brother, Obinna, stood with two men, their faces stern. Obinna turned, noticing Nnamdi for the first time, and his expression hardened. "Nnamdi," Obinna said, his tone cold. "You should not be here." Nnamdi frowned. "What are you saying? This is my home." Obinna stepped closer, his jaw clenched. "Not anymore." Nnamdi's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "The lands, the house, everything you own, it is no longer yours." Nnamdi staggered back. "That's impossible. I built this." "You stole it," Obinna cut him off, his eyes burning with resentment. "You think people didn't notice? Chidi, who lost his business overnight. Adiz, whose shop was cursed with failure. Emeka, who lost all hope. The market was filled with victims of your greed. But now, something has changed. They are rising again. And you are falling." Nnamdi's head spun. He turned to the two men standing beside Obinna. They were village elders, men who had once treated him with respect. Now, their gazes were filled with quiet judgment. "You must leave, Nnamdi," one of them said. "Before the people demand justice." Nnamdi's legs felt weak. "Justice? You have fed on the suffering of others for too long," the elder continued. "But the spirits have reversed your work. The people will soon realize they are free from your curse. And when they do, they will come for you." Nnamdi's breath quickened. No, this isn't fair." But as he spoke, a deep sense of dread settled over him. He could feel it, the shift in the air, the weight of his actions pressing down on him. He had taken from so many, and now, the debt had been called in. Obinna stepped forward, his voice final. "Go, Nnamdi. If you stay, you will not survive their wrath." Nnamdi turned, his vision blurring with panic. He ran. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to disappear before the people of the market realized the truth. As he fled down the dusty road, the sun burned hot against his back. He had once controlled everything. But now, he had nothing. And for the first time in years, he was truly afraid. Nnamdi ran until his legs could no longer carry him. By nightfall, he found himself deep in the wilderness, far from Nkwo-Ogbede, far from the market where he had once ruled in secret. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and his throat was parched, but he dared not return. He knew what awaited him there: anger, justice, and possibly death. He wandered from village to village, seeking shelter, but everywhere he went, misfortune followed. He tried to buy food with the last of his money, but traders turned him away, their eyes narrowing with suspicion. It was as if they sensed what he had done, as if they knew that the men standing before them had once stolen the destinies of others. Days passed. His fine clothes became tattered, his once proud stride reduced to a weary shuffle. The world no longer bowed to him. He was nothing now, just another beggar on the roadside. One evening, as he lay beneath a tree, weak from hunger, he saw a group of traders returning from Nnamdi. They were laughing, their carts filled with goods. He recognized some of them, Chidi, Adiz, and even young Emeka. Their faces were brighter, their burdens lifted. They had reclaimed what was once theirs. Nnamdi watched from the shadows, his heart aching with something he had not felt in a long time, regret. He had built his wealth on the ruins of others, and now, the spirits had undone his work. Justice had been served. A cold wind blew through the trees, rustling the leaves. And in that moment, he understood. There was no going back. He had taken too much. Now, the world had taken everything from him. With the last of his strength, he closed his eyes, listening to the sounds of life moving on without him. And as the stars appeared in the sky, Nnamdi faded into the night, nameless and forgotten. We have finally gotten to the end of the story. If you love this video, kindly like, subscribe and comment your opinion on this. God bless you.